Do you know what the main irony of Stephen King's fate is? The whole world considers him the master of fear, a man who draws inspiration from the depths of hell. But if you look behind the facade of his massive estate in Maine, you won't see a monster. You'll see a little boy who's deathly afraid to close his eyes in the dark. We are used to seeing him rich, successful, and smiling from magazine covers. But his path to this throne was paved not with gold, but with poverty, despair, and the sticky fear of failure. It all started when Steve was 2 years old. His father simply left the house for a pack of cigarettes and never came back. His mother was left alone with 2 children and debts. She took on any job: laundress, cook, caregiver. Stephen watched as life methodically ground down the person closest to him. And that was when he found his first drug, an old box in the attic stuffed with cheap horror paperbacks. There, among the monsters, things made more sense to him than in a world where a father could just disappear. But the monsters from the books were nothing. The real nightmare began in his youth. King worked in an industrial laundry for pennies. Imagine the heat, the deafening roar of massive centrifuges, the smell of boiling chemicals and dirty linen. Every day he saw how this machine of life turned people into shadows of themselves. After his shift, he would go home to a tiny trailer where his children were crying and unpaid bills lay on the table. He wrote his stories during his breaks, literally on his knees, to the sounds of arguing neighbors and the howling wind. And then comes the turning point. 1973. King is writing a draft of a novel about a strange girl with paranormal abilities. He rereads it, flies into a rage, and throws the manuscript in the trash. He genuinely believed he had no talent. Just another failure wasting paper. If not for his wife, Tabitha, who literally fished those dirty pages out of the garbage, we would never have known the name Stephen King. Carrie became a sensation. Unthinkable amounts of money poured in, and that was when his real demons, which had been waiting in the shadows all those years, finally stepped into the light. Fame didn't bring him peace. It brought him alcohol and cocaine. In the mid-80s, King turned into a living ghost. He wrote his best books, like Cujo or It, in a complete fog. He would later admit, "I don't even remember writing some of those novels." His brain simply shut off, leaving only the creator and his nightmares behind the wheel. His family lived in constant fear. The King of Horror himself became a horror character to his loved ones, unpredictable and slowly killing himself. But fate had prepared one more, incredibly cruel script for him. 1999. A dusty roadside. Stephen was simply walking along, minding his own business, when a blue van slammed into him at full speed. The crunch of bones, darkness, agony. Doctors seriously discussed amputating his leg. He found himself trapped in his own body, like in a Kafka-esque trap. And do you know what the first thing he did was when he could finally hold a pen? He started to write, through tears, through agonizing pain, sitting in a wheelchair. He realized that his writing wasn't just a way to make millions. It was the only way to keep his inner monsters on a leash. Today, Stephen King is a legend. But the next time you open his book, remember, he doesn't write about ghosts and vampires. He writes about how terrifying it is to be human, about how easy it is to lose everything, and about the fact that the light at the end of the tunnel is visible only to those who are not afraid to look into the thickest darkness.